Today on Steelers Talk, I am breaking down what Russell Wilson needs to do in the postseason this year to turn his season around and lock in his status as the QB1 for the Pittsburgh Steelers in future seasons. Make sure you guys stay tuned to the end of today's show for a major problem in Russ's game that he needs to fix this week heading into the game versus the Ravens if this team wants any shot of going on a run towards a Super Bowl this year. So sound off down there in the comment section to get us started. Do you want Russell Wilson back as QB1 in 2025? Simply give me a yes or a no down there in the comment section to get us going. All right, so now what needs to happen this week is Russ and Arthur Smith need to come up with ways and need to tailor a game plan to get the ball out of Russ's hands more quickly. Okay, now you take a look at my scouting report on Russell Wilson and the things that he does well versus the things he does not do well. He's a very clutch performer. He always has been, and he always has that poise in the final moments to find the right guy, deliver accurate passes down the field when the defense knows he has to throw it. All right, the pre-snap processing has always been good. This is somebody that's been in the league for a very long time. He's seen every single coverage in the book, and he can identify those coverages really, really well pre-snap. Also, the arm talent is still very good. He still has a strong arm, and he can throw with touch down the field and accuracy to all levels of the field as well. He's one of the most accurate quarterbacks in football, actually. And then his decision-making from the first read is really, really good. He doesn't turn the ball over a lot. He's third in turnover-worthy play percentage this year. However, the cons. The size prevents his post-snap processing because he can't see over the middle of the field past his first read. The playmaking out of structure is no longer a strength of his game, which really hinders him. And then he holds the ball for too long. We'll talk about all these pros and cons throughout the course of today's show. But in my opinion, Russ is just a serviceable starting NFL quarterback as it stands right now. But where Russell Wilson is at his best, and truly where the Steelers' offense is at its best, is when Russ is working within structure and is ripping the ball to the intermediate or deep levels of the field off of his first read. Okay, those are the ingredients that the Steelers need to try to get to this week if they want to get back to offensive success. Some encouraging Russell Wilson stats here that you guys can take a look at. His adjusted completion percentage this year is 11. So he's the drops and all these different things that have contributed. His completion percentage is still pretty darn good. Big time throw percentage. So the big time throws down the field into tight windows, big time throws that not every quarterback can make. He ranks 6th at 5.7%. Also, he protects the football, 1.7%, ranks 3rd among quarterbacks this year. All right, and that's a big thing for him in the playoffs too. He's got to, take care of the football because he hasn't exactly done that in some of the previous weeks. Then the EPA per attempt on 3rd and long when the defense knows he has to throw it is 4th in the National Football League. His downfield yards per attempt, so that's intermediate and deep balls this year, is 1st in the National Football League. So when he's pulling the trigger on a pass, 10 or more air yards down the field, he's the most efficient passer in the game today. And you guys can see that with the EPA per attempt on the downfield passes as well, which also ranks 1st. So Russ's issue, this is the thing he needs to fix. He holds on to the ball for too long. All right, and he still has it ingrained in his play style to be a creator, to be an off-schedule playmaker. That was why he was a superstar quarterback in Seattle, and he hasn't exactly adjusted his game at this point in his career to not account for that. All right now, Russell Wilson averages 2.86 seconds to throw. Ranks 28th in the league. All right, so that's not... It's not exactly phenomenal, excuse me, by the way. But to be fair, the pass protection hasn't been great here in Pittsburgh this year. All right, especially on the perimeter with Dan Moore Jr. at left tackle and Broderick Jones at right tackle. Both of them, according to Pro Football Focus, have given up 10 sacks this year, and there's only 3 tackles in football that have given up 10 or more sacks this year, and the Steelers have 2 of them. So you take a look at the pressure for Pittsburgh this year and the kind of the numbers that are relevant. Russell Wilson's average time to throw this year is 28th, but the pressure percentage is 40th, all right? So that is a big gap there, and the sack percentage is 38th. So yes, could Russell Wilson get rid of the football faster? Probably, absolutely. But because these numbers here are 38th to 40th, that means that this offensive line is also not holding up their end of the bargain to some degree here. And, Russ certainly has held the football this year at times, especially when that first read is taken away from him, and he's not very good at escaping sacks anymore because he's just not the same athlete he used to be. Take a look at his pressure to sack rate this year. This is the percentage of pressures that result in sacks on Russell Wilson. He ranks 33rd in the league right now at 22.4%. So he's not even near where he was in his prime Seattle days. And here's the issue with that, guys, man. Russ is just too frequently looking to scramble if his first read isn't there. But like I said, guys, he doesn't have the quickness and the athletic ability anymore to be an effective scrambler. Usually he either gets sacked, or B, he gets chased down and he has to throw the ball away and you don't gain any yardage. All right, so this is not a sustainable model for offensive success for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they need to find ways for him to hit his back foot and get rid of the football, because that's when Russ is at his best. But you take a look here at the pressure here and the pressure numbers. The pressure percentage, like I said, ranks 40th, and then Russ hasn't exactly been holding up his end of the bargain here from a production standpoint. His EPA per attempt under pressure is only 25th. All right, so that is just not good enough. This is not a quarterback that thrives under pressure anymore. He needs to be clean, and he needs to get the ball out fast to have success in this league at this point in his career. And the result here, overall, because you're getting pressured on 41% of your dropbacks, and then you're not doing a good job when you're getting pressured, as a whole, his EPA is getting affected. So right now he ranks 23rd in EPA per play among quarterbacks right now, which is obviously not good enough if you want to win a Super Bowl in this league. So Russ is going to have to find a way to increase this number, and he's going to have to find a way to get the ball out faster so he's not facing as much pressure. And you guys can see here from the start of his season, his first 6 games this year as a Pittsburgh Steeler, his EPA was awesome. He was top 5 in EPA among quarterbacks at 28.72, and then since that Cincinnati Bengals game where he was phenomenal in Week 13, and George Pickens, by the way, got hurt the next week and didn't play for 3 weeks, it's just been downhill, man. Negative 37.2 EPA, which ranks 36th in the National Football League right now, which is obviously not good enough. And, you know, you guys can say whatever you want about Russ and how he's not been good enough, that all those points are correct. But the thing is, I'm not sure if Justin Fields is the thing that's going to fix this offense in time for the postseason. Not only has Fields not really played as the full-time starter since Week 6 at this point, but you look at the numbers here, despite Russell Wilson being 23rd in EPA per play, which we all agree is not good enough right now, Fields' was even worse at negative 0.0353, which ranked 25th. So right now, Russell Wilson has still been the better and more valuable quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers this year. Now, I do think that the best case for Justin Fields, all right, and I do think that the people that say this absolutely have a point. He's better at handling pressure than Russell Wilson is in their respective careers. And because the offensive line isn't very good here in Pittsburgh, you want somebody that's a more effective scrambler, and you want somebody that's a more effective rusher of the football to be in there. And I think that that is a more than fair point. And we can look at some numbers for that. The average time to throw this year is worse for Justin Fields. So if you're wondering about who's going to get more pressure and who's going to get the ball out faster, it's actually Russell Wilson. Justin Fields, since he's entered the league, has taken the longest time to throw of any quarterback in the league. So that's not something that's going to improve if you bring in Justin Fields. But his EPA per attempt under pressure is better than Russell Wilson's. He currently ranks 19th in EPA when under pressure this year, because he is an effective scrambler and he is better at avoiding pressure than Russ is at this point in their careers. And then also the rushing EPA this year obviously is better for Justin Fields. Now maybe it's a little bit lower than some people think. Like I think some people think like Fields is this massively valuable rushing quarterback, but this year that just really hasn't been the case. He's 26th in EPA per attempt when rushing the football, and Russ is honestly not that far behind at just 30th at negative 2.3. But I do understand that argument to go to Justin Fields because he is better under pressure. But I think Russell Wilson is still the better option heading into the playoffs, all right? And we've laid out the reasons for that this week on the channel. But, you know, my reasoning in general, in a nutshell here, is that Russ is the superior downfield passer compared to Fields, and that is not an element of this offense I'm willing to sacrifice heading into the postseason. All right, you take a look here at the downfield passing stats. So these are on throws of 10-plus air yards, all right? So this is the bread and butter of the Steelers' offense with Russell Wilson, or at least it should be. The completion percentage is much higher for Russ. The catchable ball percentage is much higher for Russ compared to Fields. Right now, Justin Fields has only completed 6 passes of 20 or more air yards this season, so 1 per game when he was in there. The yards per attempt, much higher for Russell Wilson. In fact, for Russell Wilson, it's the highest in the league. All right, and then the EPA per attempt is obviously much better. Russ almost doubles Justin Fields' production when throwing the ball down the field. And then still, despite Russ's struggles lately, the offensive numbers and the production has still been better than what it was under Justin Fields. He's got a field goal more per game. He's got about over 30 more yards per game. You got the yards per play is much higher. The big time throw percentage is a lot higher, and the turnover worthy play percentage is over a point lower as well. So I do think this offense is at its best, and it was at its best this year with Russell Wilson in there, and I think that he can still be a successful quarterback in Pittsburgh if he tailors his game to the offense and what this team does well. So the bottom line here, guys, Pittsburgh needs to do whatever they need to do to prevent as much pressure as they can and get the ball out of Russ's hands as fast as they possibly can. And coming up here on Steelers Talk, I'm going to tell you guys exactly what needs to happen. My plan for Russell Wilson heading into this week's game versus the Baltimore Ravens. I got 8 things the Steelers could do offensively to get Russ back on the right track. But before we get into that, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Game Time, which is the best place to buy tickets for the sports, music, comedy, and theater in your area. And Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. All you have to do is select the Game Time Picks button at the top of the screen whenever you go into an event you want to go see, and Game Time automatically filters through their entire database of tickets to find you the best tickets with the best prices with the best views so that you and your family can get the best possible tickets, and it saves you a bunch of time. And what I love about using the Game Time app in general is you get the lowest price guarantee on any ticket to any event. You also get all-in pricing so you don't get slapped with the crazy fee at checkout, and flash deals so you can get even cheaper tickets the closer you wait to game time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS. It's one word, all caps, CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off that first purchase. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. All right, so let's go over what I would do if I were the Steelers offensive coordinator and I wanted to get the most out of Russell Wilson for this postseason push. All right, so I got 8 things that the Steelers can do. The first thing that they can do is go pass heavy from the jump. We've talked a little bit about this week where, in the Cincinnati game earlier this year, the Steelers went pass heavy very, very early. And Russell Wilson was able to get options in the short passing game, all these different things on early downs, and they were able to move the chains at a really, really effective rate all throughout the game, and it was Russ's best performance. Then another thing you got to do, I think you got to go shotgun heavy, because when Russ is in shotgun, he can scan the defense a little bit easier at his height, and he can decipher pre-snap what the defensive coverage is. So I think going shotgun is something that can help Russell Wilson here. Put him in empty. He's very comfortable in empty formations as well, just as long as he's taken that snap from shotgun. I think that is the most beneficial system for him at this point. Doesn't mean you can't go under center, but I think you have to go heavy shotgun. Another thing you need to do is you need to pass on early downs, all right? And that goes hand in hand with pass heavy from the jump, where, right now the Steelers are running the football a lot to start games. Pass the ball instead on early downs, specifically early in games here, and on early downs, because the benefits of that is it gives Russell Wilson options to throw to any level of the field. All right, when he's always throwing on 3rd and long, there's only a certain amount of routes that he can throw to before he has to look to scramble. But if you throw with it on 1st and 2nd down, it gives him options to throw it deep, to throw the intermediate one, to throw the short pass. It gives him options in that regard. Also, B, it keeps the defense guessing. If you have a healthy amount of passes on early downs and you're not so predictably going to run the football on 1st down, then yes, absolutely. This is a team that can have success offensively, especially if they work in the passing game on early downs. Fourth thing that they need to do is they need to use spread formations. Now, Arthur Smith is a guy that likes everybody close to the ball. That is his thing. He's not really a spread guy. So in that way, it's not a very good fit. But Russell Wilson is so much better when he's allowed to read the defense pre-snap. And if everybody's close to the ball, it's a lot tougher for the quarterback to decipher what coverage a defense is in. But when you spread things out, Russell Wilson, who, as we discussed, is an excellent pre-snap processor, can look at where the defense is with the spread formation, and he can really easily decipher what defensive coverage a defense is in, and that's going to allow him to get the ball out faster because he knows what they're running. Fifth thing on my list is you got to lean into the quick game and the screen game. All right, Russell Wilson is very, very good at the quick game stuff, and he always has been. Even going back to his days in Seattle, he was one of the best quick game quarterbacks in the game because, like we talked about, that pre-snap processor, if he knows where to go with the football, he is excellent at getting the ball out fast and finding a man for a nice chunk. Another thing that they need to do here is they have to give him checkdowns on every single play. All right, you can't just have a route with like a deep option and an intermediate option. You have to give him checkdowns, and you have to really encourage him to hit those checkdowns if the defense is taking away the deep and intermediate passes, all right? I want him checking the ball down to a guy like Jalen Warren or Najee Harris in space instead of Russell Wilson trying to escape the pocket and try to do something that he's not really capable of doing anymore as a scrambler. Then another thing that the Steelers offense needs to do is give him alert options. On every single play, there should be an alert go route on the outside, so if the defense plays up and they give Russ an opportunity to throw deep with that patented moon ball, Russ should be able to have freedom to throw that deep ball whenever he wants on those alert options, all right? So that has to be a part of the offense too. Then the final thing on my list here is to encourage Russell Wilson not to scramble, because he needs to understand here that that's not the player he is anymore. He is a player that needs to be in shotgun, that needs to work within structure, and needs to get the ball out of his hands quickly, similar to like a Joe Burrow or a Tom Brady. He needs to be that style of quarterback, all right? He can't be run around, danger Russ, magician type quarterback anymore. He doesn't have the athleticism to do that anymore. So he needs to change his game, and he needs to have a little self-awareness about his own game here and understand he's not the same guy he was at 25 years old or even 30 years old, all right? He needs to know that this is a different kind of quarterback now that he is compared to what he was when he was a younger man, and he needs to make the proper adjustments, and he needs to be open to playing the way that I am prescribing to him right now. Now, my worry about Russell Wilson is that it's just not going to change. This is just the way he plays the position. He's played the game this way his entire life, so he's not going to change it. And if that's the case, guys, I honestly think Russell Wilson is officially cooked in the National Football League because he just simply can't handle pressure at a high enough rate here to scramble at the rate that he is scrambling at. So it's either he's going to adapt or he is going to die in the National Football League, and hopefully this week he figures it out just in time for the postseason. And if he does not, the Steelers have a very good chance of losing against the Baltimore Ravens on Saturday afternoon. So let me know down there in the comment section, what's your confidence level in Russell Wilson? It's Saturday night, not Saturday afternoon. I'm an idiot. Scale of 1 to 10. What's your confidence level in Russ heading into this week? For me personally, guys, I got to give it around a 6. And, I've been a Russell Wilson advocate his entire time here in Pittsburgh, and mine is at a 6 at this point in time. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button right now. If you guys want informative, in-depth Steelers content like this that goes over the analytics, that goes over the relevant information, that's what you're going to find from us here at Steelers Talk. I really do appreciate all of your guys' support. And until next time, guys, here we go, Steelers.